Liz Twist.
Question 2, Mr Speaker.
With permission, Mr Speaker, I will answer questions 2 and 7 together. Ensuring 12 years of quality education for all girls is a British Government priority. We run bilateral education programmes in 19 countries, and our Girls' Education Challenge programme is supporting 1.6 million girls to secure a quality education.
Liz Twist.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. During its G7 presidency, the UK introduced 2 global targets for improving access to education for girls in low and middle income countries by 2026. Can the Minister say what progress the Government is making in this area, when it expects the targets will be met, what coordinating role the UK is playing, and if he will centre the voices of girls and young women, including those most impacted by inequality and discrimination, in delivery of the targets?
Well, the Honourable Lady is entirely right. Those 2 specific targets were a major priority for the UK G7 presidency in 2021, and prioritising foundational learning, reading, writing and counting well, is at the heart of that, and we are on track to complete both those 2 targets by the agreed date at the G7.
Weston.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Since the fall of Kabul, some 850,000 girls have been prevented from attending school by the Taliban. Recently, pupils at St Matthew's C of E Primary School in Stretford undertook a whole school march in solidarity with the plight of Afghan girls denied an education. They have done all they can to raise awareness of this important issue. What more does the Minister believe that his government can do to raise awareness of this ongoing travesty, and crucially, will he agree to bring forward a comprehensive Afghanistan strategy that takes into account the ongoing crackdown on the rights of women and girls in Afghanistan?
Well, I congratulate the school in his constituency for that public-spirited statement about the rights of women and the appalling violations that are taking place in Afghanistan. The Taliban is not a monolith in Afghanistan. There are parts of the country where education is taking place, both at primary and secondary level for girls, and it's the job of the international community to try and persuade and argue with the Taliban administration that what is happening in those particular areas should be extended across the whole country.
Ford.
With 129 million girls out of school across the world, can I congratulate my right honourable friend and the FCDO on putting girls' education at the heart of the Women and Girls strategy that was announced last week. The International Parliamentary Network for Education brings together parliamentarians from over 60 different countries to promote the importance of education. So will he encourage members of this House to sign up to this network so that we continue to work with others to make sure that no children is left behind? And, Mr Speaker, will you join?
Well, I'm certain, Mr Speaker, that if you were to sign it, most colleagues will follow your lead. My right honourable friend has done a great job herself on this area. Between 2015 and 2020, the UK supported over 8 million girls getting into school, and 65% of those girls were living in fragile countries.
Mr Speaker, thank you. One of the biggest barriers to education worldwide is poor health. In 2021, over 600,000 people worldwide died of malaria. So will the Minister please commit to renew the UK Government's commitment towards meeting the 2030 Commonwealth goal of ending malaria, and also provide maximum support to the Global Fund?
Well, as my honourable friend knows, we committed to the latest replenishment on the Global Fund a sum of £1,000 million. So we are right behind the aspirations which he has expressed. He's right, too, to say that a child dies every minute from malaria, entirely needlessly, and that is and dealing with that is a top priority of the government.
Minister Bregill.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. By the middle of this century, Africa will be home to 1 billion children, yet in places like northern Nigeria, half of girls are out of school. Achieving universal girls' education would end child marriage, half infant mortality and drastically reduce early childbearing. So can the Minister update the House on what progress has been made towards our G7 presidency pledge to get 40 million more girls into school, and explain how this squares with the government's decision to cut the FCDO's education, gender and equality budget in half last year?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we are looking at the budgets for the next financial year and indeed the year after, and we will come to the House and set out what they are. But she should be in no doubt, as I explained to her honourable friend, that this is a top priority. If you want to change the world, you can do so by educating girls. It's the first foremost way of achieving it, and the government is absolutely behind that agenda.
St Pete's spokesperson on Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We'd all strongly support the education of girls worldwide, and that's something we should all be working upon. But the danger also is that the UK should avoid reinventing the wheel. And the EU does already have 100 cooperation agreements on education, which the UK until recently was very much part of, a leading part of. Surely, with the thaw in EU-UK relations, which I commend the government for fixing the Northern Ireland Protocol difficulties, surely there's an opportunity for the UK to fold itself back into these frameworks, not to reinvent the wheel, and to get more girls into education.
Well, Mr. Speaker, he is quite right that we take a totally unideological approach towards educating girls and women. So we go with what is most effective, what works, and if the EU produces programmes which are good value for taxpayers' money, then of course we will look at them.
Nick Smith.
Number 3, please, Mr. Speaker.
With permission, Mr. Speaker, I will answer questions 3 and 9 together. East Africa currently represents the world's largest and most severe humanitarian crisis. We have allocated £156 million in life-saving aid across the region this financial year.
Nick Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Oxfam estimate that one person is likely to die every 36 seconds in East Africa due to food insecurity. But yesterday's integrated review refresh failed to acknowledge this unfolding crisis. Now, drought and famine has displaced nearly 2 million people in Ethiopia and Somalia recently. So what further action can the government take to support people on the ground and ensure that they can return home safely?
Well, I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, that when he has time to study the IR in detail that was published yesterday, he will see that there is a lot to welcome in it about the future of Britain's international development leadership. In respect of the area which he mentions, he's quite right to talk about the intense humanitarian needs that exist there. In Ethiopia, we are helping to deliver humanitarian support to 8 million people alongside efforts to promote water conservation. In Sudan, 320,000 vulnerable people are thanks to British assistance for food support. In South Sudan, 200,000 are getting emergency food and nutrition. And in Somalia, where I was in December, since 2018, 4.4 million people have received water, sanitation and hygiene support from Britain, and 3.2 million have received emergency food. So he may rest assured we are absolutely on the case on this and doing everything we can to support the international effort to counter what may well be this year the 5th year of drought.
The £156 million that the Minister referred to of aid is 5 times less than provided by the UK government 6 years ago for a milder crisis. In a week where we are talking about displaced people, we are facing an exodus on biblical proportions in East Africa. What more can this government do to help those communities stay in their homes?
Well, he's absolutely right that the whole aims of British development policy are to help people remain in their own homes and be safe and secure and indeed prosperous there. What we are seeing in the Horn of Africa is an immense crisis of extraordinary proportions, which the whole international community has to respond to, not only with money, but also with skill and expertise. And British leadership is right at the front of that.
Sir James Duddridge.
Mr. Speaker, much is talked about the deaths in the battlefield in Ukraine, but what assessment has the Department made of the impact of grain prices as a result of the grain not coming through from Ukraine into East Africa? And actually, it's quite possible, and I'd be interested in testing this assertion, that more people have died in East Africa as a result of the war in Ukraine than has actually died within the confines of that country.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I can't comment on his last point, but he's absolutely right that as a result of Putin's illegal brutality and invasion of Ukraine, there have been disruptions to food supplies into particularly the Sahel, but also East Africa. That is causing rising inflation, it's causing food shortages, and Putin stands condemned for the effect of his actions in that respect as well as every other.
Can I refer to my register of interests? A few weeks ago, I had the privilege of visiting Kenya and meeting students who graphically described to me the impact that drought caused by climate change is having on their lives and their food supply. It's about failed crops and also about boreholes that are drying up, but it's also impacting on their education. So what my right honourable friend considered what more can be done, not just to address this current crisis, but longer term to put mitigation measures in place so climate change doesn't have such a drastic impact on those communities.
Well, my honourable friend is absolutely right, and we discuss resilience and climate adaptation frequently with the Kenyan government. I was there in December. My right honourable friend, the Foreign Secretary, was also there and spoke to President Ruto. She may rest assured that our relationship with Kenya, which is extremely close and dwells on humanitarian trade and investment issues, also dwells on the issues of drought and the issues that she has raised.
Minister Lynn-Brown.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Across East Africa, 48 million people are facing crisis level of hunger, and yet East Africa has been taken out of the integrated review. Even his own colleagues understand that the fundamental issues in East Africa is about climate adaptation and real partnership. What is the government going to do to address the fundamental causes that causes a cycle of these crises?
Well, the honourable lady is wrong about it being taken out of the IR, and if she has the chance this weekend to study it in detail, she will see that that is the case. And she's right to say that an estimated 72 million people will require humanitarian assistance in 2023 due to conflict, drought and flooding. On all of those issues, Britain is working with its allies across the international community to do everything we can to stop it, recognising that this is the 5th consecutive season of failed rains across the Horn of Africa.
Dame Diana Johnson.
Number 4, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the simple principle